for Dr. J.
He's pissed off about it.
So we're talking COVID today.
Are we on?
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't clap, so I didn't know.
I don't have to do that anymore. I figured something out.
Do I want to know?
No.
Excellent.
Because you won't understand what I'm telling you anyway.
It's not any different than most times. I just shake my head a lot and say, oh yeah.
Yeah, sure. Uh-huh.
Ah, COVID.
COVID.
Our lifelong friend. I told you. My son has got a bet with me.
Yeah.
He thinks that we're still going to be dealing with it in the fall.
Yep.
Basically, $20 bet. I feel bad about taking his money, but I guess this is how you learn. I'm not saying we're not going to have any residuals from it.
Yeah.
I think the world will be different. I think a lot of people are going to say, why do I have to go to that meeting in person?
Yeah. I think, yeah. The world's going to be much different.
But I don't think we're going to be social distancing by October.
No. No, I don't think so either. That was caught on camera.
Excellent.
Yes. There we go. Yes, that's better now.
But today we're talking about COVID right now, not COVID in the fall.
Kind of both. Where we're at and where we think we're going.
Where we are is not pretty.
Yeah. No, the numbers keep going up.
One of our friends has currently got it. Her son's got it. It's bad enough for her, they gave her an inhaler to keep her out of the hospital.
I talked to one of my former students the other day, and her partner was exposed to it. So now he and their child are in quarantine for 10 days, not 14, because I don't know if you know or not, but the CDC cut the quarantine back 4 days.
I did know that.
So I think they're on like day 3 or 4.
Hope they last.
Yeah.
That's how relationships end, buddy. We're seeing it all over the place.
I know, right? They're dropping like flies.
I don't know how many marriages I've seen fall apart in the past couple months.
Well, we don't need to go into that.
That's not COVID.
Yeah.
Although that is an impact of COVID. You can't deny that it does have an impact on relationships, especially when you can't get away from your significant other for any length of time.
Yes.
When going to the store is the only outing. I mean, what did you expect was going to happen there?
Yeah. No, it's true. It's true. Boy, I hope my leg is not as white as it looks like on the on the monitor.
It's pretty pasty.
It's pretty pasty.
I mean, I can see it from here. Is all I'm saying.
Oh shit! It shows. All right. Thank you.
So the numbers.
So the numbers are going up. Well, and here in North Carolina, Cooper instituted a new thing for the stay-at-home thing.
Yep.
Businesses have to be closed by 10.
Yep.
They have to stop serving alcohol by 9.
Yep.
So, it's funny because when I texted you, you said it's their curfew, and I'm like, well, if you can't go anywhere,
Yeah.
if everything is closed, where are you going to go? I think my exact response was, if everything is closed, what the fuck are you going to do?
It's hard to argue with that logic.
Yeah, I know, right?
But we're not to a point where he felt the need to do that, though, is I guess the point.
Yeah.
We haven't reached that spot. And I hope we don't. I mean,
Well, it starts
Christmas
today.
Christmas is only a couple weeks out.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think we're going to go into full lockdown again.
No. I don't think the economy could handle it.
No, and I think we're beyond. There are actually, so I was listening to Megyn Kelly, and
I bet.
oh yeah. I love her. I am falling in love with Megyn Kelly.
She probably doesn't know.
She doesn't. But she, ever since she's left Fox, she's just become so much more appealing.
That happens a lot when people leave Fox.
Yeah, I know, right? Think of what Tucker's going to be like when he leaves.
He'll leave when he runs for president.
He'll be a god. Unlike Hannity.
No, Hannity's just going to be a giant shit show no matter what he does.
You know what? This is what I think. You know Limbaugh's got cancer. Yeah. So, we're probably within a 10-year window. And I'm not going to try and say anything bad about Limbaugh or anything good about Limbaugh, but we're within a 10-year window. I bet you if Limbaugh passes, Handy will take over.
You think?
Yeah. They've got pretty much the same audience.
Yeah.
So it's not like they'd be losing or gaining. It'd be just straight move.
So is the COVID thing, you think, just are the numbers going up just because everyone's gathering indoors now because it's colder?
Yeah.
Or is it also people aren't doing what they're supposed to do?
Yeah, so I was listening. I wasn't talking to Megyn Kelly. I wish I was talking to Megyn Kelly.
I bet you do.
I was listening to Megyn Kelly, and she had a couple of doctors on, and what they said was, one of the problems with lockdown is that you're containing the virus within a small space, and now everybody's going to get it faster. And we're seeing that with winter coming in. That one of the reasons why the numbers are going up is because everybody's moving indoors for longer periods of time. I was watching the morning news yesterday, and just caught the very beginning of the Today Show where they do the breaking news headline things for the day, basically. Setting the agenda. And one of the things they said was, we're starting to see the Thanksgiving bump of, people gathering for Thanksgiving. The numbers are starting to reflect that.
What's the second week of January going to look like?
Yeah, I know, right?
I mean, after Christmas. I think the other problem is a lot of people aren't being responsible either. And this is one of the worst parts about the virus. I didn't see this coming. All right, I didn't see this coming. The politicization of a virus.
Yeah.
How do you politicize a virus? How did that happen?
Well,
because it's going to happen again now.
Let's look at the factors. What we have going on here. We had the Oompa Loompa in the White House. And the liberal media went full Orange Man bad. And between the two of them, they created this shit show.
Yep.
You can't sit there and say it's Trump's fault. If the liberal media had just done what a lot of reporters were saying years ago, which is stop covering his bullshit,
Yep.
it would have been lockstep. There would have been no problems. But because they fucking went full-blown Orange Man bad,
well,
they helped perpetuate his narrative. They made it louder.
Yeah.
And they created more dividing.
Yeah,
or more space between the parties.
Just ignore him, man.
Yeah, just ignore him.
When he says something worth hearing, listen to him.
Yeah.
And then report that.
Yeah.
When he talks about policy,
yeah.
report that. When he talks about the economy, report that.
Yeah.
When he starts insulting people,
don't report that.
Don't report that. Just don't report it. His appeal is always going to be that strong with his base, no matter what.
Yeah.
The problem on the right, even if the liberal media had ignored him, you would still have people screaming about their freedom.
Yeah.
So that part would not have gone away.
Yeah, but it wouldn't have. I don't think it would have been as pronounced.
No.
Because if they hadn't reported him saying, And a lot of that was just them race baiting him.
I never thought I would say that Fox News acted responsibly. Those words I thought would never come out of my mouth. The day when his press secretary started going off about voter fraud, and
Yeah.
the anchor said, "We're not going to report this.
Yeah.
What
Oh,
she's
that
saying
made
is
a lot of
unsubstantiated."
people angry with Fox. My mother will not watch Fox now. They're watching Newsmax.
But I mean, if you're going to make a claim like that,
Guess who's on Newsmax? Spicy. Sean Spicer. He's got a
my
show on
God.
Newsmax.
oh my God.
The other day when I was visiting, his show came on. It's awesome.
Spicy has a
Spicy
news
has
show.
a show.
Is it good? No.
I don't know. I wasn't paying attention, but I could probably answer that without watching it and say no.
No.
But anyway, what were you saying? I'm sorry.
I never thought that Fox would be the one I would look to and say, "That's what you do.
Yeah.
That's how you respond. You say, this is what he's saying. We're not going to report on it.
Yeah.
We're not going to spin it. We're not going to have commentators talk about it."
We're just going to pretend, or we're just going to shut it off and be done.
I mean, when you make unsubstantiated claims, I'm not saying you shouldn't be held accountable.
Yeah.
But when you're doing it just to troll, you're better off not even acknowledging it and saying, "We're just not going to cover this.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to have this conversation. We're not going to be baited by the president. We're not going to let that happen."
Yeah.
Had they done that, had they taken the moral high ground, they had an opportunity, and they squandered it. They squandered it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
they
think you're right. I think he and the media are responsible for the politicization of the virus.
Yes.
Because the media tells you who to hate.
Yeah.
On the right, they tell you who to hate. On the left, they tell you who to hate. And because you are an avid follower of whichever media outlet you watch, you're going to do exactly what they tell you to do.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to tell you openly, "Oh, by the way, dear audience, this is who we think you should hate." They're going
Right.
to do it in a way that's very,
They're going to spin it.
yeah, it's always spin. So maybe that's the case. It doesn't change the fact that we're in a bad spot right now.
Yeah.
And I don't know what this means for January when we come out of Christmas into the new year. I don't know what kind of regulations governors are going to put on the states. I don't think we're going to see the economy shut down again. I don't think we can do that again. I think you can do that one time,
Yeah.
and that's it. You can't do it again. I've got friends making dire predictions. I don't know where one of my friends got this number. He's like, 90% of all restaurants are going to shut down forever. I'm like,
I don't know about 90%, but it's going to be high.
it'll be high, but I'm not sure where the 90 came from. I
Yeah.
don't think it'll be 90.
I would say it'll probably be somewhere between the 40 and 70% range, somewhere in there.
Maybe.
But the thing is, they'll shut down, but then when everything comes back online, there's going to be demand. You'll start seeing what, in their place, you'll see new ones.
Yeah.
I mean, it's easy to get caught up in the doomsday shit. But I think, you have to look at it as ebb and flows, It ebbed in, 07, 08, 09.
Yep.
Look at how many businesses. So I was working in countertops during the 08 crash. All right, the crash happened the end of September, early October, right? Now, when the crash happened, there were, I believe, 13. What's up, man? How you doing? Yeah. When the crash happened, I think there was 13 countertop companies in and around Greensboro. Okay. By December, there were 5. So 8 countertop companies completely went out of business. Now, if you look in the yellow pages now, we're back up to close to a dozen countertop companies in the Greensboro area.
They're not the same ones.
They're not the same ones. Now, a lot of the same people, right? Because that labor pool didn't go far, So a lot of the same people are doing countertops again. But You know, that happened in '08. And it recovered. So the same thing will happen now. Yeah, we're going to see a lot of, it's going to be sad. We're going to see a lot of businesses that we're used to go away, but within a year or two, there'll be something in its place. That is the beauty of capitalism. That's one of the beauties of capitalism. When you talk about small business, you see a small business go away, when the economy starts come back up in a community, it typically comes back. It's the larger companies, when they go away, that's the crippling effect.
Except for these small towns with Walmarts, and those never come back.
Well, no, but
this is not that.
Yeah, this isn't that.
No. I just wanted to take a shot at Walmart.
No. Well, you can say the same thing about Target.
You can.
And Dollar General.
Yes.
And Big Lots.
Yep.
They move in. They hurt. I do think because there has been such a advancement in online retailing, and the shift has been over the past 8 months to online, to doing a lot of things online, that's going to have a lasting effect. But that may also be beneficial for the small business owners, because now they can actually reach a broader audience than just the local audience. Because of that, because people are going to start looking for stuff online. So it could have a positive and negative effect at the same time.
Well, if you look around here, though, and I'm not saying that this particular city is necessarily representative, I don't know of any restaurants that have gone out of business yet.
Yet.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on what January looks like.
Yeah.
But one of the restaurants that shall remain nameless, I mean, I went there, I don't know, with one of my friends, for whom you have a special name. We went there, and the place was packed. They're still packing them in.
Yeah.
I don't think they're suffering very much at all, and I think a lot of restaurants are doing that. Maybe bars will get hit.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But unless we see another major lockdown where you're no longer allowed to go into a restaurant, they might actually just make it.
Yeah.
Just a guess. I don't know. I mean, I'm not an economist. I don't have that kind of knowledge, but just maybe.
Yeah, the bar's going to take a hit, but you know what? One bar goes down, two pop up.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't know. I do wonder what education will look like in the fall. I'm convinced we'll be back to some semblance of normal.
Yeah. But I think the pedagogies are going to change dramatically.
It may.
Which is what we need.
Well, a shake-up is not bad.
Yeah.
A good shake-up once in a while is not a bad thing.
I think Channel 2, it was yesterday or the day before, said that this week Guilford County Schools is doing these standardized tests that don't count for anything, but they're testing all the kids to see where they're at, to see the effects of the fall semester. What these kids got and what they didn't get. They can't punish the teachers.
It's not their fault.
No. But this is the system trying to figure out where they're at. I think we're going to have unbelievably high retention problems when all's said and done with this fall semester. When we get done, I think the retention rates are going to be through the roof. Or the losses.
I do think some of us are being more generous as a result of it.
Yeah.
My grades are a little higher because of what's going on. I mean, I'm sympathetic.
Well, and I have been I usually, I have in my syllabus, even the syllabi I gave out this year, I have a very strict late work policy. I don't take it. But this semester I've taken it because what are you going to do?
Yeah.
And I know I have a handful of students who have taken full advantage of that.
Of course they have.
But I've also had students that actually desperately needed it because they ended up getting COVID and ended up out of school for almost 3 weeks.
Yep. I'm willing to help if they contact me, but I've got one student who every assignment he turns in a day to 2 days late. You're done, kid.
Yeah.
You're done. So education will take I don't know if it's going to take a hit. I do suspect on the high school level that they're not getting everything they need, even with the benefit of teams where they're getting lectures.
Yeah.
I mean, my poor kid, my 16-year-old, is in the IB program, and if you don't know much about the IB program, it's harder than college.
Yeah.
And the junior year is the hardest. He's currently writing a philosophy paper.
Right.
And it's intense. And I read one of the paragraphs. I was so proud. He sounds like a college student.
Good.
He's writing better than any of our 111.
I was going to say, what kind of college student, Jason?
He's
Are we talking about one that's young and stupid and just walked in, or
sophomore or junior level seminar paper?
Good. You got to qualify that because
he's figured it out.
Freshman papers
He's
are
writing better than
awful.
most of ours. I don't know.
Hence why I can't stand teaching freshmen.
Yeah, they're a special challenge. 4 pages means 4 pages, not almost 4 pages.
Yeah, 3.5.
3.5 pages.
Jesus. Yeah, that's what I tell them. I tell my students we use English math.
Yep.
When I say 4, you write 5.
Yep. So I have concerns about what, and that's kind of the thing we're not talking about. Well, I mean, we kind of are, I guess, but we're still talking about the short-term effects of this. I think most people are focusing on the short-term impact, the economy right now,
Yeah.
education right now. But these kids, my son's ages are one's 16, one's 9. I'll be curious to see how their education in years to come is impacted as a result of it.
Yeah.
And then look at college students.
Yeah.
I mean, enrollment is down.
We got an email at A&T. We got an email earlier this week about pass-fail. That if the students opt to do pass-fail, we gotta let them. But we have to let them know that there are going to be grad schools out there that are not going to take those grades. So they plan on going to grad school. Don't do the pass-fail.
I think some grad schools might also be a little more forgiving.
Well, and I think one of the good things, okay, so there are some good things that may come out of this SJW moment that we're living through, this woke moment. It looks like the campaign to get rid of standardized tests is at full steam.
Good.
Which we've needed to do. We've needed to replace the standardized tests, not because they were favorable to one race or economic class over another, but because they could be exploited too easily. They don't really show the full potential of a student, period. Any of the students. No matter what class they're coming from, whether you're talking socioeconomic or you're talking cultural, it does not show the full potential. You can't get anything off of pardon my French, off a fucking multiple choice test.
No, you can't. And I think there are other ways.
Yeah.
Like my idea for years, and I'm not alone in this, I'm sure, would be that colleges craft their own entrance exams.
Mm-hmm.
So you take an entrance exam that is specific to that university.
Yeah.
And they can get a measure, as to whether or not you are a good fit there, as opposed to taking the ACT or the SAT that just tells you, well, this person obviously takes multiple choice tests well.
Yeah. I think the hardest part of the GRE for me, and the part that I really stressed over the most, was the written part. The essays. And that's the way it's supposed to be.
That's the only part of the GRE I felt like really mattered.
Yeah.
I tried harder on that than anything else.
Yeah.
I did well. I don't know how I scored high on it,
Yeah.
but apparently, I don't remember the score anymore, but apparently it was okay. SATs for me were an unmitigated disaster for reasons that I'm assuming are fairly obvious. I mean, the Americans with Disabilities Act was passed in 1990. I took the test in 94. So they were still trying to figure this out.
Right.
And halfway through the test, my eyes were tired. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to start circling shit now. I don't care. I'm done.
So you took it when it was on paper. I took the SAT on paper. The GRE I took on a computer.
I took the GRE on paper too, because that was in 1997
Yeah, I took it in the
or 98.
mid 2000s, late 2000s when I took the GRE. It was on a computer.
It's a strange thing. So I do have, I think, reasonable concerns about what's going to happen to this crop of juniors and seniors, particularly the seniors this year.
Yeah.
What are they going to do? Are they going to take a gap year? Are they going to go straight in next fall?
Well, Look took a gap year this year.
Yeah.
Ezra's not planning on taking a gap year, but he's coming to Guilford Tech for the music engineering program.
But are they going to be ready? Not your kids in particular.
Yeah, they're not.
Are they going to have?
This is going to be and I mean this with all, with. I'm not trying to be mean. This is going to be the worst batch of freshmen ever. Not because they're dumb. It's not their fault. It's just they're going to be awful. This is going to be a mitigated disaster when they hit college.
Absolutely unmitigated. I think my kids will be fine. Certainly my 16-year-old. My 16-year-old is teaching himself Japanese.
I know.
I think he's going to be okay. And there are going to be a lot of kids like him.
Yeah.
They'll be fine. But other kids for whom learning is a struggle outside of the classroom, I think they're in trouble.
Yeah.
They're in big trouble. And I don't know how long it's going to take to right that particular ship. I also don't know how universities are going to handle the admissions process, right? How are you going to make an honest judgment about these kids when they've been put at such a disadvantage?
Yeah.
What kind of standards can you have for this group of students? Do you lower your standards and accept more students? Do you keep your standards the same and accept fewer students? I don't know. I mean, and we don't have to worry about that because we teach at a community college. The door is open for everybody. But...
Oh, I know.
So I don't know.
There needs to be a better filter system in place.
Yeah. Well, you'll see in the fall at your other gig at A&T what those freshmen look like.
Yeah.
Because so far you've had a really good group.
Yeah, this group this semester has been fantastic. The past 2 semesters, they've been absolutely fantastic over there. So the past 2 years have been, but
Fall 21 is going to be ugly.
It's going to be ugly. It's going to be ugly across the board. It's going to be bad at Guilford Tech. It's going to be bad at the university. It's just going to be bad all the way across. And I promise you, the financial aid system is going to have to do some serious audits. They're going to be refunding people, or they're going to be giving them credit because of this. because they're going to go into the fall, and all these classes that they've had to eject from this semester because logistically they were not capable of being able to be any kind or participate in any kind of way. They're going to have to give them credit for those classes. They're going to have to refund them.
Yeah.
Not give them straight up money, give them credit towards new classes to where they're paid for without penalty.
Yeah.
They're going to have to. That's going to be a ton of money.
Well, and that's the other question. How much money are state governments and the federal government going to have to spend as a result of this virus?
Yeah.
And where's it going to come from?
The future. We're borrowing from the future.
We always are.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel for these kids.
I do too.
But the fall of 22 will be better students if we get back to normal in the fall of 21. And we have high school students.
I think we will.
As long as we have, I mean,
I think a lot of this is going to be, a lot of these restrictions are going to be pulled about midway through the summer. We'll probably head into the fall free and clear.
Tell my son that. I think he's become very pessimistic, and I told him and two of my other friends last night, I said, I have to be optimistic.
Yeah.
Because the idea of doing this for longer, teaching this way for an entire academic year is going to suck.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of doing it for another year,
yeah,
and another year.
Well, so here's the reality, right? And I've caught myself saying this too a lot. I actually said it in an email to our boss the other day. This idea of after COVID. There's no after COVID. COVID's here forever. But I think
you mean in terms of the
actual virus.
Yeah.
The virus ain't going to go anywhere. It's another virus we have to deal with. We're going to have to deal with it for the rest of human history.
Like the flu.
Like the flu.
It'll be easy to manage.
Yeah. It'll be a lot easier to manage. I mean, look at how we've managed the flu. There are new strains every year.
Yep.
It's going to get better. We're not going to have all this. I mean, the mask mandates are going to go away at some point the next year. But what is America going to do with all those masks?
I'm going to burn mine at my friend's house, yeah.
I'm going to wash them and put them in a Ziploc bag for a later date because I know it's going to happen again. Maybe not in my lifetime.
You kids can inherit it.
My kids can inherit my mask and be like, oh, this is what Grandpa used. Great Grandpappy, he used to wear this mask during the COVID times.
There's no guarantee that the next one will impact the Western world like this one has, though.
Yeah.
SARS certainly didn't have an impact on the Western world
Well,
the same way it
and
did
we
the
look
East.
at it like, we keep the big one that everybody references is Spanish flu. That was 100 years ago.
Yep, 102.
So we won't deal with this for another century. It caught us off guard. We weren't ready. We'll be ready. And then 100 years from now, we won't be ready. It'll catch us off guard.
Well, we're not going to be around in 100 years to worry about
No, but
that.
I'm talking about we as a culture.
Yeah. I'm just glad I won't be here for it.
Western civilization may be on the decline, but the culture's not going anywhere.
No, and that's why when people talk about it, I don't get too worked up about
Yeah.
it. I'm kind of okay with us not being a superpower, so long as the traditions don't go away.
Oh, the traditions will stay. I think I was talking to a student one day because I mentioned in class about, China's taking over the world. They're invading through the banks.
Yes.
It's the most unique incredibly well-orchestrated invasion in the history of mankind because they're not shooting anybody.
It's a financial Trojan horse.
Yeah, it's all it is. But I was talking about that, and they were like, "Are you worried that your grandkids are going to be learning Chinese and stuff like that?" I'm like, "They're going to be learning Chinese whether I worry about it or not, because that's going to become the dominant language." But American culture is not going anywhere.
Well,
When America was the superpower and was we had our tentacles in every part of the world, there was still Chinese culture.
I don't know that the language issue is going to be too much of an issue. I don't know that we're going to be seeing people learning Chinese. Think about the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
The Romans, and if the Chinese are smart, they'll do the same thing the Romans did. They didn't require you to give up your gods.
Right.
They didn't require you to give up your culture, and they didn't require you to give up their language. As long as you gave them the taxes, you could keep pretty much everything as it was before. I think that may happen.
That, and you had centurions on every street corner.
You did. I don't think we're going to see that part.
No.
But I don't think, I think we'll still, and I think English will still remain a fairly common universal business language.
I don't think so.
Just because
I disagree with you on that
Just
one.
because Chinese is so inefficient.
Well, maybe, but I don't. Human beings are stupid, Jason.
Well, I can't argue with you there.
And I think
I've been teaching for 19 years.
the more they get their hands in the honey pot, the more they're going to have to learn Mandarin.
I don't know.
Whether it's efficient or not, they're going to have to.
But the Chinese may not want them to have to do that. They may want to keep speaking the current lingua franca and keep getting a toehold that way.
Okay, Jason, you use a big word. Let's make sure that we...
Universal language.
Thank you. Some of us aren't hip. I'm not saying that I'm not, but some of us are not, don't have the broad vocabulary that you do.
They're not hip to the lingo.
Yeah, they're not hip to the lingo.
Yeah, just lingua franca just means universal language, like Latin was. But again,
Because what I heard was, French language, and I'm like, that's not right.
Quoi?
Quoi?
It's one of my son's favorite terms now that he knows it. Like, you know how it is. You learn this really fancy term, and you got to find a way to use it every day. Look at me.
DOS is a lingua franca dad.
I don't know. I don't see things coming. I don't see us coming out the other side of this in trouble.
No.
I just don't. And again,
I don't
maybe I'm
either.
being naive or idealistic. I'm just not seeing it. I think people are so freaked out about the current moment that they assume that a year, 2, 3 years down the road, things are going to be horrible still. But they have no proof of that.
Yeah, because again, go back to the 08 crash. It was awful in 09 and not as awful in 10, but it was still awful. And then by 11, it wasn't so bad.
Exactly.
And then by 12, we were talking about the 08 crash. We weren't living it anymore. We were talking about it.
So I don't know where this, I don't want to say I don't know where this negativity comes from. I think media stokes the negativity.
Yeah.
But it's just, at some point you have to believe we're going to be okay. We've survived everything else.
Yeah.
We survived the Black Plague. Did it wipe out half of Europe? Yes.
Yeah.
Did the other half live? Yes.
Yeah.
We bounced back.
Did the other half have sex and make babies? Yes,
They did.
And thank God for that.
And we've been having so much sex since that we're almost at 8 billion people.
Yep.
We're doing okay.
We're doing okay.
We got a vaccine for this virus within months.
Yeah.
We're doing okay.
Not 1, 2.
Possibly 3.
Possibly 3.
We're doing okay.
We're doing okay.
We're doing, in fact, you could argue we're doing better than okay. Because no vaccine, I keep wanting to say virus, no vaccine has been produced this quickly. This is unprecedented.
Yeah.
And that's exciting, and why wouldn't you be excited about that?
Right.
Look at what we did. as a species.
Because a lot, well, and it goes back to what I was talking about immediately or around the time of the election. People are hungry now. They're hungry now.
Yep.
That's what they're worried about. They're hungry now. And what they're not getting right now is help right now.
No, they're not.
And that's the biggest problem. That's what the media is like feeding off of, is that fear and anxiety about right now. But the reality is, you're absolutely right. I don't know how it hit you, because you were, at this point, you were still out in Johnson County. I remember the '91 recession, and it was awful.
Oh, wow.
My stepdad lost a job. He didn't get a job for 8-9 months.
Yeah, we knew people who got screwed too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was an awful recession.
It's horrible.
And yet, 23, 24 years later, he retired. I mean, it wasn't, it was a bad moment.
Yep.
But we got through it. As a culture, we got through it.
Life is made of great moments punctuated by bad moments. And if you can realize that, and realize that there are more good moments than bad moments, you can't help but be optimistic.
Yeah.
You have to believe that there's an end in sight. And I know there's an end in sight. Does it change the fact that I hate this right now? No. Because I do. I mean, I hate it. I'm not built for teaching this way.
Yeah.
I don't think most of us are built for teaching this way. So of course we're miserable.
Yeah.
But knowing that the end is in sight should give us some sense of hope that all we've got to do is survive another 6 months.
Yeah.
And we'll be fine.
All we have to do is get the droid to Yavin 4, and we can kill the Death Star.
Yes.
That's all we've got to do.
It's a new hope, Brian.
It is.
So I've had it up to here with the naysayers.
Yeah.
And these are some of these people are my friends. I'm
Yeah.
like, where are you getting this from?
Well, that and okay, the group I'm getting aggravated with the most are these fucking people who are still bitching about having to wear a fucking mask. Just put the goddamn mask on and shut up.
Yep.
You don't have to wear it forever. This is not forever. Just put it on and wear it for the next few months.
But the problem, and you said it already in your own way, is that we tend to think short term.
Yeah.
And I think it's exacerbated by the fact that we are, and we were not always this way, we have become an instant gratification species. Because everything is at our fingertips.
Yeah.
All you got to do is press a button, your order is shipped, and it's at your house in 3 days.
Yeah.
And the idea that this could drag on for another 6 or 7 months,
I was driving us crazy.
we can't handle it. So this reliance on technology to make things happen fast, it would be one thing if we could isolate our instant gratification to technology, but we can't. It's spread from there to every other aspect of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And we see it with our students who get so frustrated that writing is so hard.
Yeah.
And I tell them, writing is hard for great writers. Why should you be any different? How are you better than the greatest writers in the language? Because I got to tell you, you're in English 111 because you're not.
Yeah.
Get over it.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to take time. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It's going to happen in 6, 7, 8 months' time.
Well, it's like I told that one kid, this was years ago, standing in the middle of the hall in AT, students all around, and he's bitching about an assignment because it was so hard. And I said, if you want easy, ECPI is right down the road. You give them $45,000 and they'll give you whatever degree you want.
It's not worth shit.
It ain't worth it. You ain't gonna get a job with that degree. If you do, it's gonna be a shit job. But they'll give you whatever you want. But if you want an education, you're gonna work.
They don't want to do it.
No.
And they are, and it's a...
He dropped my class the next day, by the way.
Good.
He showed up to class with this is back when we had to sign the slips. He showed up to class with the slip and then left. Never saw him again.
Good.
And the thing was, I had his girlfriend at A&T, and she took me twice. She took me for the freshman level and the sophomore level. And she told me, like, the next week, she said, I bitched him out for dropping your class.
Good.
Yeah.
But this is kind of where we are right now. I'm trying to find a way to say something's got to give, but I haven't found that moment yet. This is like every South Park episode.
Yeah, Kenny's got to die.
Yeah. But I haven't found a moment yet. I've been looking for one.
Yeah.
But I may just say it, randomly with no context just to get it out. But the thing I say a lot is that our students are not the disease.
Yeah.
They're a symptom
Yeah.
of a societal disease. And all that COVID has done is it's brought that issue into focus. That we really think we should be able to take care of this virus right now.
Yeah.
And that we just can't endure another moment.
The Google effect.
It's the Google effect. That's it.
Well, Jason, you have the perfect opportunity. Go ahead and say it.
Something's got to give. It even makes sense there.
Yeah.
Some change needs to be made, and not surprisingly, my argument is always going to be education has to be the answer.
Yeah.
Because education not only teaches you knowledge, but if done right, it teaches you discipline and patience.
Education has to change, and local communities are going to have to start to focusing on the local.
Here's the new moderate again.
We have to. Well, it's just Yang is even preaching this. We've got to get local press back.
Yep.
Because that's where it starts. It starts with local press, because through the local press, you build community.
Yep.
And we've got to get that back. So we've got to change education. Education needs a massive overhaul, and I think this virus has exposed everything that was wrong.
Yes.
To education, to the people that were telling us there's nothing wrong with education, and now it's right there in front of them. They can't deny it. And then the second thing that's got to happen, the other thing that's got to give, is we've got to get local press back so that we can reignite community.
Well,
this local community bullshit is not working. Facebook is not working.
no.
It's time to go back to the drawing board and figure out how we can. We're not going to get rid of Facebook, so let's rethink how we use Facebook for the actual local community. Use it as a bulletin board. Use it as the thrifty nickel. The Facebook yard sale page is awesome in that because it's based on the local communities. Here's what they're selling in Kernersville. Here's what they're selling in High Point. Here's what they're selling in Greensboro. There are ways to do this and ways to change the way we use Facebook.
Yes.
The algorithm is set. Start manipulating it.
Yep.
On a local level. We're not going to get rid of those sons of bitches. They're here to stay. Twitter is here to stay. God forbid, but Twitter's here to stay. You know that Parler thing, the alternative? It's just as bad. I've been on it for, 2 months now, and it's just as bad as Twitter. It's no different.
Really?
Yeah, it's just
It's toxic.
Disgusting. Yeah, it's toxic. Just as toxic as Twitter. So, you know, the only way we're going to get rid of companies like that is get off it. Completely. Not look for alternatives. You don't need a Twitter alternative. Just get off it.
Yep.
It's not necessary. You can live life without fucking Twitter. So, there's my rant. Something's got to give.
There you go. Well, something does.
Yeah.
Something does. In every podcast, I say it because in every podcast, it's true. There needs to be some sort of major change. I just don't know that we're capable of it. You talk about the local. I think you're right, but getting people to focus on that.
Yeah.
Every semester in my English 111 class, their last paper, they have to find a local issue they care about and they have to solve it. And most of these kids will tell me, I had never thought on this level before. Ever.
There's an app, it's called Newsy. And the point of the app, it gets your location and it shows you just the local news from all the different news bureaus across your area.
NEWSY?
Yeah, NEWSY, Newsy. You can just look at the news that's coming out of your area from all the different news bureaus, be it TV or newspapers. If that becomes more popular.
I should probably tell my kids about this for when they're doing their research on local issues.
Newsy. It just local news. And that's the thing. And you want to get people focused on, you know, I keep coming back to local the local newspapers or local news. Find a way to cut them off before they go to CNN.
Yes. I talk to my students about food insecurity in the Triad, particularly in Greensboro and High Point. They have no idea what I'm talking about. I have to explain everything to them about when I get to that subject. And that's an example I use for something very local. And I ask them, why don't you know this? Why don't you know anything about this? And the answer is obvious. They don't think locally.
Yeah.
They don't think locally. They don't know anything about where they grow up. They know nothing about where they grew up. They know nothing about their own community. They know they live there. They know where the restaurants are. Mm-hmm. They know where they go to have fun. They don't know what's wrong.
I got so frustrated years ago that I stopped asking them. They don't know who Greensboro is named after.
They don't know it's named after Nathaniel Greene.
They don't know, and then when you tell them that, they make the connection to Natty Greens. They don't even know there was a battle fought in Greensboro, even though there's a big ass road on the eastern side of the city called Battleground that runs right beside of Guilford Courthouse. Battleground. And I have to go and tell them the entire story.
And they're from here.
Yeah. About how Nathaniel Greene was sent down here to stall Cornwallis long enough for Washington to build his troops up. And if you look at what's really cool, if you go to, you don't actually go to I think it's the Botanical Gardens is where you go, where they have the house.
Yeah. And
they have like the battle mapped out on a map, and you can see where he just basically led Cornwallis in this big circle.
It was a stalemate, right?
Yeah, that's all it was. He wasn't meant to win the battle. He was just meant to stall Cornwallis. And that's why when they came through, they don't know how we got the Hornets for the freaking basketball team name. Because when they were coming through, they were crossing that one bridge, And the garrison popped out from under the bridge and trapped him on the bridge. And the British corporal went back to Cornwallis and told him it was like walking into a hornet's nest.
Yep.
And that was on the way up to meet Nathaniel Greene. So there was all kinds of tactics coming through as Cornwallis was moving up from South Carolina through North Carolina to stall him, so Washington could make sure he had enough forces at Yorktown to honestly fight Cornwallis and put an end to this war. They don't know.
No.
They don't even know that the British surrendered at Yorktown. They still think that the South, I had a couple of students tell me this a couple of years ago, that the South surrendered in D.C. I'm like, no, they surrendered at Annapolis.
In Appomattox Courthouse.
Yeah. Oh my God.
That's absurd.
Well, it's okay. It's like the survey that they did, what was it, back in the late 90s, where it's like, who did we fight in the Civil War? And one of the answers was the Nazis, and like 30 or 40% clicked the Nazis for the Civil War.
Okay, so maybe there's another problem worth addressing here. It's not COVID related.
But it irritates the shit out of me. If they don't know anything,
I know.
they don't realize that Winston-Salem was once two separate towns. They don't know that because Winston-Salem took the hyphen out. They don't get it. I'm not kidding.
I'm not even from here, and I know that shit. This is sad.
It is pathetic. Of course, most of them don't realize there was a bank called Wachovia, named after the natives that lived around what is present-day Winston, and that the Atkins named for another tribe. They don't know this stuff.
Because they don't know anything about their own home.
No. So, and that's why local news is important.
Yep. Well, they're not watching any news. Our younger kids are not watching the news at all. They are completely disconnected.
Yeah.
They didn't know about the vaccines. I had to tell them about the vaccines. I'm like, guys, it doesn't get more relevant than that right now. You know.
Well,
It's either
well,
like,
Dr. J, I don't know if I'm coming back in the spring till they do a vaccine. You dumbass! They did.
Yep.
2 of them.
Yep.
I've been paying attention.
They don't.
No, they don't.
They don't. They are completely disconnected. And then the worst part is they don't see the point
Yeah.
of knowing. They have no idea, and they don't see the reason.
I try in all my classes, both comp and lit, to expose the importance of reading on a consistent basis. And
Yes.
I tell them, read something substantial. Facebook does not count.
No.
Neither does Snapchat
No.
or Instagram.
Social media doesn't count.
It does not count. You've got to read something substantial.
They don't see the value of big ideas.
No.
And that's another talk, another conversation, and another show. But I think COVID's exposing a lot of this. I just hope we do something with it, with our knowledge of it. I hope we do something with what's been exposed, rather than just saying, "Oh, this is just the way it is."
Yeah.
That we actually take this as an opportunity. It's been such a horrible thing, and so many people have died. Something good should come out of this, or it's just a waste.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, we're at an hour exactly.
Wow.
Yeah. All right. I'm the barber. That's Dr. J. We will see you guys next week. Hopefully, if it's still warm like it. It's a beautiful day out here.
It's a great day.
Now it's time for Dr. J.